Alright, so in this video we are going to be working on the eyes, the ears, the hair, and the nose, right? So we are going to working on this part, but first I would like us to actually arrange this node view space. It looks kind of overcrowded, so I'm just gonna try and arrange this. Just select. So these are all stuff that I'm going to use as my reference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it somewhere different. Click on this option here, drag down to insert, and I'm going to insert a backdrop, right? So this is what it's going to come. I can change the color to suit. And I'm just going to name them as reference, right? So now I have this as reference. Wherever I move this, and this is what we have here for the face that we created, right? Alright, so let me create a master peg. I'm creating this master peg for the whole body, right? So this is Kiko, because the character is going to be named Kiko. So Kiko master. Okay. So everything is going to be connected to this, right? So I'm just going to change the previous one that we did. So that is going to be for my head, because I'm going to create the hair in this folder, right? So now that we have this, to deactivate any part of your work, you just select it and press D. So to reactivate it again is A. So now that I've reactivated it, we can see what we have. But before we start, right, your pegs will be kind of not in the position that you want. So I'm just going to position the pegs, the pivot in the way, the pivot in the way that when I rotate, it rotates properly, because we don't want it to rotate this way, definitely not, right? So I'm going to move the pivot by using the translate tool. This time I'm going to eyeball it and put it somewhere I think it's going to work for the head. It's not going to do a lot of moving, but sometimes it's going to shift a little bit, and I'm going to do the same for the head. Let us create deformers for the face, right? Because as we are working with, there are going to be sometimes that we'll need to kind of distort the face. So a deformer, I'm going to explain as we work. What a deformer does is it gives you the option to be able to manipulate and kind of bend these static shapes, right? So what I'm going to create is an envelope deformer. Looking at this, I want to create an envelope deformer in the way that I have points in some certain vantage areas, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the drawing, and if you want to select something, let's say you clicked on this and you want to find it in your node view, just make sure your node view is highlighted and press O. It's going to take you directly to that. So now that I have this, I'm going to go to the animation tab, then I'm going to go for envelope, and I'm going to create. So as I said, I need about 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just make it 6, right? So this is what I have, and it's okay. I just entered and I just clicked on create. It's okay, but in case I don't like this and I want it to align perfectly, coming to our deformer tab, if you don't have it here, just right click anywhere around this place and make sure you select your deformer. Using this hammer icon, this rigging tool, once you click on it, it's going to turn red. Now it's giving you the option to edit. So I can click on this and bring it down. Once I bring it down, I hold down the alternate key so that I can work on this line without it affecting the other side. I'm going to do the same for this. And as I'm doing this, I'm just going around checking if everything is okay. And I think this is okay. That way, if we should work on it, this is what we get. Alright, this is okay. Turning it off. I'm going to do the same for the head, for the face part, sorry. So the face, Let me turn this off so we can actually see what we're working with. So with the face we have say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make a let's make it 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's make it this. So same as we did on the page 6. And I'm going to edit it to suit my own preference. I need one here in the middle. So I'm going to drag this to the middle. I'm going to bring you down here somewhere. Try to eyeball this onto the thing now. Try and get the curves right. That's not what I'm looking for. Try to get the curves right where they should be. I'm doing the same thing for you. Alright, so need another point. Found here. I hold down the Alt, then I click and drag, get the shape. Just trying to get it as close as you possibly can, because you don't want any distortion when you're using the deformation. And I need one right at the center here. I think this is okay. I'm just gonna do this too. Right. Let's try and bring it to almost the same level. So I'm going to put on that too. Alright. This. We have this right here. Okay, so now that we have our deformers in place, let me turn off this so you can actually see if everything was good. I think we can do better with it. Okay, so I think this is okay. I'm going to turn this back on by pressing A. So now we have deformers. That way, when we are doing our head turn, we are recording for the head turn, we can easily just deform the face, right? Okay, so you don't necessarily have to draw face drawing substitution for every single face. So now that we are done with that, let us start creating the parts of the face. So we are going to start with the eye, right? And if I should turn on my reference here, if I should turn it on, you can see this how the eye looks. So first I just need a couple of drawings. On your node view, just press Ctrl R, you open up the drawing layer panel. So I'm going to start with the eye. I'm going to eye, and I'm going to create my pupil. Right. So now that I have these two, I have them right here. I like to set up my working area before I do anything, so I'm just going to introduce text to both of them. So I'm just going to select everything, Ctrl Shift plus P, and I have that. Alright, so now I'm going to create a composite for this, because I'm going to definitely be doing some cutting with it. So that's Ctrl H, and I have a composite introduced. Alright, so I'm going to name this this. We are working on the left. Let's work on the right part of the eye first. So since I'm looking at it, it's going to be reversed. So this is going to be the right and this is going to be the left. Some name it front and back. I name it right and left. So I'm doing the right. There's a right comp for this. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to plug this in. Just push this aside, I don't need it. I'm going to put these two. Alright, so on the last step with the eye, make sure you're drawing on the eye layer using the right layer to make sure you're drawing on the line art. So I'll create this for the eye. So I'm going to copy that line art. I'm going to paste it for the pupil. I'm just going to reduce the size to fit the pupil. And now we have this, right? So I already have colors for that. I'm going to create my color outline from the line art just by pressing this tool here. I'm doing the same thing for the eye. I highlight and I create. So now I'm just going to fill it with color, right? So I have my eye color here, which is this. We do it on separate layers because when you are working, you need some things to cut something. So I'm going to select the pupil and also fill it with color. So now we have this, and we need to make our pivots work. So now that's why we have our pivot. If I should rotate it, it's going to rotate around that pivot, and that's not what we want. We can manually bring it up here, but that's a bit difficult to pinpoint the center. So you can get the script of placing everything right at the center for you. You can get it on Gumroad, or if you need it, just let me know. I'll pin the link down in the comment section. So I just make sure I'm selecting this. But first of all, we just have to make sure that our pegs, our drawing and our pegs are sharing the same properties. So I'm going to select all of them, come to set properties on multiple layers, and I'm going to make sure it's all on pivot. That way, whatever pivot we have on the drawing is going to affect the peg. So once I select the drawing, I use my script, it pops right into the center. I'm going to do the same for the eye, pops right into the center. So now we have this, right? So I'm going to create a peg for both because we will need it to work as one. So let's say I write master. Alright, and I need it to share the same information as this. So I'm going to open up the tool property here. I'm going to open up this too. So as you can see, it's two separate tool properties. I'm going to copy the pivot point here. But that is it. Now this has the same as this. So now what are we going to do? Picture this as this pupil is a content and this is a container. We need this content to fit in this container without going out, right? So I'm going to turn off this so we can actually see what we're doing. So now wow, this looks weird. Anyway, it's going to pick up as we are working. So now that we have this, we are going to introduce a cutter. Once you're on your node view, just press enter and key in cutter. Right? Okay, so what you want to cut should be on the right side and what you want it to cut by. So I want to cut the eye, the pupil by the eye. So once you introduce a cutter to clip it in here, just hold the Alt key, whichever line it comes close to, it will just snap, right? So I have this right here and I'm going to put this here. As you can see, there's nothing showing because Toon Boom is reading whatever effect is happening here and it's not seen. Now we selected inverse of the cutter. You actually need it to reveal, so we are going to double click on it to change this icon to white. But still, Toon Boom is seeing the effect here. So this is being cut by this and this has disappeared. So I'm going to plug this in so Toon Boom can see. So now we have this. And as you can see, there's something going on here. This might be your style and this might not be your style. Maybe you want the line art. I actually want the line art to come before. So if you remember from the previous video, I made us create some art layers, the line arts, color arts, overlay. We just named it differently. So I'm just going to copy the line art. I'm going to bring the line art here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the line art, plug in this right here, and I'm going to plug it in first. So what I told the computer to do is whenever you're showing me this, show me the line art first. But if I should plug in my line art here, I'm telling it to show me what is on the line art, nothing else. So You want to show me the line out first before it shows me any other thing. So now I have this, right? Okay, so I think we are getting there gradually. So now that we have this, let us create our lid, our eyelids, because the eyes are going to close and open. So like I did, Control R, I'm going to create lid. This is for the down. I'm going to add, not add and close because I want to create another one. So lid up. All right. So this is what we have. And I'm going to do the same with the peg, same with the property bar. And I'm just going to create something big enough that is going to cover. But first, let me create a deformer for the eye because sometimes you might have to distort the eye. So I'm going to select the eye, come back to the deformer. I think I need 4 points, just like this. So I'm going to go to animation, create envelope deformer, create. Now I'm going to reduce it to 4 and create. I think I'm okay with this. So I'm going to leave it. Make sure I arrange it properly because this is going to get messy soon enough. Right. So now we are on this. Right. So let me plug this into the eye composite. You definitely need to see them at some point. Alright, so now that we have this, let us start with the down. Make sure I'm on the line. I just need to create a shape big enough to cover the eye. I'm gonna start from the center. Pressing the shapes, just gonna drag it down. I think this should be big enough. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now is create the color art. Select. I'm gonna pick a tone of the skin color so you can actually see some difference. So now that we have this, I don't want to do the same thing for the up, so I'm just gonna come to this, select the line art from this, and I'm going to paste it onto this. Okay. Alright, so I select the line art, come to this, I paste it. So I'm just going to move it up with the selection tool, not the translation tool. And I'm going to do the same with the color. Control. I'm just going to place it right there. Just make sure it fits and okay. I don't think I copied it at the right place. Gotta make sure. Yep, this is not where you're supposed to be. It's supposed to be here. Alright, okay. So now we have this. Let me turn this off. If you don't need the information, you can just turn this off here. So now we have this, right? Let us move the pivot using our script. This is going to come in handy. So now we have this, but we need it to cut by the eye, right? So what do we do? I am going to create a composite for this because I don't want, I just want to use one cutter, right? I just want to use one cutter. So I'm going to create a composite for this. Just be sure it's not selected. So I'm going to create a composite. I'm going to name it lid and pupil. Alright, so I'm going to plug it right here. And I'm going to connect my lid up, lid down. I'm going to connect the pupil to it. Now I'm going to connect the pupil, the composite that we just created, to the cutter. So now everything is being cut by this cutter here, and the line art is helping us to see the line work. So as you can see, it is that easy. Right? So I always like to arrange my note because it's going to get complicated as time goes on. Right? Okay, so now that we have this. I try to do everything possible that I think I will need before I flip it, so I don't have to redo and do so many things. So assuming you are working and you need a brow, right? You need a brow to cut something. So now let us do the brow itself. With the brow is going to be a bit different. So with the brow, I'm going to turn on my reference again. Have my reference turned on, and I'm going to create a drawing for the brow, right? So that is the brow. So the brow right here. You're gonna do something a little bit different. Same like I did. I'm sorry. I need my peg. I need the properties right there. Alright. So with the brow, I am going to create a shape big enough to cover the eye. So make sure I'm working on the line art. Selected the proper color. I'm going to create a shape big enough to cover the eye. I think this should do something big enough to cover the entirety of the eye, right? Something big enough that when you move it, it covers the entirety of the eye. Okay, so I think this is okay. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the color on the line art. Just follow through. You realize you're going to do something different. So now that I have this, I'm going to go to the node view. Whenever I'm working and I don't need some particular parts, I make sure I turn them off so I can actually see what is going. So I just turn off the face and I'm going to turn view off. I do not need you. So now we need to make this work in a way that when we move this over this, it disappears, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my drawing tab. If you don't have it, just press the plus here and make sure you have your drawing tab selected. With the brow selected, I'm going to go to the drawing tab. I'm going to highlight everything that we have here. I'm going to create a color outline. I'm not going to use it, just going to go there, cut that color outline, take it to the underlay, paste it there. What I'm going to do now is I need to create a shape big enough to do the concealing, right? But this time I'm not going to use a pen or anything. I'm going to use a stroke. Stroke is like an invincible line that you can fill with color. So with this selected, make sure I'm working on the underlay. Just going to create a shape. Sorry, I'm using a mouse. So alright, so if I think it's not good enough, I can just tweak it to my satisfaction. Right? And I think this should cover it. So going back to the drawing to make sure everything is clear enough. This is what we have. And I usually use green for my masking. So I'm gonna fill the color. Right. So now this is what we have here. But this is what we have here. So whenever we pass over this, I want this to hide, right? Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a cutter again. Alright. You can just open the property and cut it short, right? So now I need this to take action over everything in the eye. I need this to take action over everything in the eye, right? The line, the lid, the pupil, and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a composite for the eye. So I'm just going to copy and paste this and make sure you change it to pass through. It helps with the heaviness of the work. So I'm going to plug in the copy comp that I just made. Make sure I'm plugged in the right place. Right. So let me introduce the parts that we need. I'm gonna need the underlay and the line art, right? I'm gonna copy these. I'm gonna paste it right here. So we have the line art and the underlay. Okay, so now that we've created the the new comp, and we've introduced the two art layers, the line art and the underlay, we are going to introduce our cutter, right? So what we are going to do is we're going to disconnect these two for now. I'm going to plug in my cutter, and I'm going to plug in my eye, right? So it's going to be right here. So that's what we see. This time I'm going to plug in my underlay art, and as you can see, because it's in reverse, it's masking. So I'm going to put in my line art because we copied the brow itself onto the line, and I'm going to put it in front of everything because Toon Boom reads from left to right. So now that's what we have. It vanishes right there. So you can actually break your character this way, and everything works perfectly. But yes, assuming you have this, you are working and you have one of the lids open so far back that you cannot see. That means you would have to come to your node view, select the lid, and do that. But what if we can put in something like a handle for us, right? A handle for us to use, right? So usually what I do is I create something like a handle, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm first going to copy this, any of the lid, and I'm just going to copy and paste, right? I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm going to plug it in because I need it to share the same properties. I'm going to come to the overlay, making sure I'm working on just the overlay. I'm going to pick a shape and I'm going to pick a color, which I usually use for my handles. Right. Just make sure it is plugged in. Make sure it's plugged in. So now I'm just going to create some sort of shape that I can easily click. I'm going to color that. I'm going to do the same. Let me finish with this there. Alright, so once I'm done with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the property here, go to the drawing, and tell the computer that whenever it shows me this, all I need to see out of this is my overlay art. Any other art I don't need. And I'm going to come to the layer that I did itself, and I'm going to make sure that the overlay is off. I want to see everything by the overlay. So let's just change the name from laid up to laid up, maybe H for handle. Alright, so now we have this. So whenever we are working, when I select this and I press B to move up the hierarchy, once you select something, once you press B, it moves up. So as you can see, we have a handle, but it's being cut by the whole drawing thing here. I don't need it to cut by it. So I'm going to take it out of the cutting. I'm going to place it on this position right here. So if we move it up, right? So instead of it being cut by the whole cutting process that we use for the pupil and everything, I placed it right in front of everything. So it's Toon Boom reads from left to right. I'm gonna move these to one side. Use all crowded here. Let me arrange this properly because with time it's gonna get worse. Alright, so we have this, right? Don't worry about the mess, we're going to um, work on it soon enough. So we have this, and I placed the lid in front of everything because Toon Boom reads the lid handle in front of everything. So if I should select this and go up the hierarchy, let's assume it's over here. Now you can't see it, but if I should select this, push it down, you can see it. You can now it's more like a handle for it, right? So, but here's the thing: once you do this and you render, it's still gonna show. and we don't want that. So we are going to introduce a visibility node. So just enter the visibility node. I'm going to plug it into the handle, right? And I'm going to tell it that turn off the software. So when you're in the OpenGL phase, this OpenGL phase is going to show, but when I render, it should be off, right? Okay, so as we did for that part, we're going to do the same. Remove my eye. Okay. As we did for the upper part, we are going to do the same for the lower eye. So I'm just gonna copy, paste. Since we already know where we want to plug it in, I'm just taking it down straight. I'm gonna copy, put this into this. I'm gonna come to my okay, overlay. I don't want to do it. I'm copying this. I'm going to paste it. But I just copy it. Just position it properly where it is. I'm gonna change the name. Flip down H. Now we have this, and we're just going to change the properties like we did initially. And everything off. Only show me that. The main, don't show me this. And visibility, I'm going to copy this because we have the same thing. Voila. Sorry. And now we have these two. I know it's looking messy, complicated at the moment, but if you follow everything, it's not gonna be a problem. So now we have this, right? So now if we are working, and assuming I move this out of shape, you can easily find a handle for you too. And whenever you're animating, make sure you're not animating on the drawing. Make sure you're animating on the Pegasus. So we have a master here. I'm going to plug everything to the master. That way I can move the eye to one place. Right. So we have this here, the face group. Let me take it just to the side. And we have our eye here. Right. So this is how our eye looks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, including the. Going to select everything, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to group it. Right. But before I'm going to group it, right? So that way we're going to clear up space. So group it, and then we name it as we know we did the eye, right? Close that. So now that we have this, but this is okay. Let me turn on the face so that we can see what we've done so far. Alright, so as you can see, I can bring it down and hide. So use that. Open. Okay, so this is okay, but we don't want to always have to animate with the eyes closed, because when we start the animation, we don't always have to open the eye position. I think we'll prefer it with the eyes open, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to synchronize these two lit handles for both, right? Same with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two, right? Make sure these two are selected, and I'm going to go to my node view. I'm going to go to nodes, and I'm going to go to sync layer width. Sync layer width, I'm going to find these names, any of these names. So let's find them. So we have the laid down H. Once I press OK, you see these two dots that are here. That means whatever happens I'm going to do with this is going to be updated to the other side. So let us do this. Let us work on the upper plate, right? We go to the library mode. Let me bring this down. As you can see, we have only one drawing here in the drawing substitution. So I'm going to create a duplicate. I'm going to create a duplicate of this using Alt Shift D, or I just click on this. So as you can see, now we have two, right? We have two. So after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the color overlay art of this, and I'm going to move it outside of the whole selection, something like this. So once I have my shape to the side, now whatever I'm doing works on this shape, it doesn't affect the other one. So I'm going to delete every other part of it, right? So this is what we're going to see if we come to the camera view, right? We have this as a handle that takes us to the drawing substitution. So if I should flip through, now I have it closed and I have it open, closed, open. And I'm going to do the same for the lower part, right? So I'm going to create, as you can see, it's updated. I'm going to do the same for the lower part. I'm going to do the same for the lower part. I'm just going to delete the lines that we have. I don't need them. Alright. And I don't need the overlay art either. Same with you. I don't need the overlay art either. All I need is that. So on, off, on, off. So I can just rename this, right? I can select the drawing itself. Now that I have this, I can go to my drawing layer, my timeline, press O, select the drawing. Make sure I'm selecting the drawing, press Ctrl D, and it will give me the chance to rename it. So I can name the second one, let's say open. I can name the first one, Ctrl D again. Make sure I'm selecting the drawing, Ctrl D, sorry, Alt D, press Ctrl D again, and this will be closed. So now it's labeled here in case you are working with a group, you know which one you are working with, right? So now we have this, and we want to just duplicate it to the other side, right? Okay, so this is the master that is going to control everything. And now just put it here. Now we have this and want to duplicate it, right? So you might think just doing a copy and paste is going to work, but no. If we should do this and we animate anything on this, it's going to do the same thing here. It's more like a clone. It's more like a, it's going to do the same thing. We don't need that. We need them to work independently. So I'm going to copy, but this time instead of paste, I'm going to do a special paste, that is Control B, right? I make sure I take create new columns and reuse as an element. And what I'm going to do is just going to try and change the name. There's a script for this. I need to get it back. I've forgotten where I got it from. I'm going to activate it. So now we have our eyes. Let me create a composition for that. I like it when my elements are on one composition. So same as we did initially, gonna do what hash to, and I have it here, right? So now what we are going to do is we're just gonna go into it, make sure it's selected, and we are going to move it here. But we are going to move it. Let me first turn on the reference so we know where we are moving it. I'm turning on the reference, and I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the whole of this. Try and move it to get to where the eye was. Alright. So assuming you have this and you you are working on animation and you want to reset the character pose. To reset something, you press R. So because you've not done a specific step, whenever you press reset, it's going to go back to where it was, and we don't need that. So what we're going to do is we're going to once we move it like we did, let me turn on the reference again. I'm going to do the same process, but this time we're just going to do something slightly different. I'm going to move it here using my two properties. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to need some tools here. I'm going to mirror it horizontally, so it's flipped the other way, nothing special. Make sure I think it's on the right side. Alright. Okay. Alright. So after we've created the duplicate, let us create some text for this to be controlled externally, not internally. So I'm going to create text for this. We are going to copy the positions later. So now I have a peg for this, right? I can just move pivot somewhere, I think. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, move it to the position that I think I'm okay with. Make sure I line it up, right? And I'm going to introduce what we call the static transition. So I'm going to remove a static transform, right? So sometimes the name is too long. I just come to the property, but I just delete some parts. I'm going to slide this thing right here. And what I'm going to tell is to take immediate current transformation. Look what is going to happen. Once I do this, it moved from that position. And don't worry, all you have to do is click on the master and reset. And now whenever you reset, it stays at that position. But the pivot is going to move. So we just have to bring the pivot back where we think it's okay. With the other one too. Let me just put a pivot here. You can copy the properties of the pivot from the other one that we did. So now we have to either work independently of each other, right? So let us create the E here. So as you can see, it's a mess inside, but on the outside it's clean, right? Yeah, like some of us. Anyway,